going on, guys? Welcome back to another video of All Things Nerd. Today I wanted to talk about PUBG. This is, I guess, kind of more of a rant than it actually is of a informational or gameplay video or whatnot, the norm that we usually do. PUBG is dying, I feel like, and it's kind of a sad thing. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's dead, as most people say, but I do think it is somewhat, maybe not dying, but more it's not exactly growing either, and which is a shame. We've all seen the growth of Fortnite in just what I'm not a huge Fortnite player, so I'm sure it's been maybe well over a year that Fortnite's been out. I think I'm not exactly sure on that. I'll have to check. I guess it's good if I did research before this. But anyways, but it's a shame. Like I said, I enjoy PUBG, and it sucks because Bluehole. I don't know what they're I don't know what they're doing. I guess now I heard they're a subsidiary of Tencent Games. So Tencent now, they're working on the mobile version of PUBG, and I guess they actually own Bluehole now. And so it's I became aware of it that I watched a video from some other YouTuber. I'll have to link him in the description. I can't remember what his name was, but it was an eye opener because I've seen all these games, several games that are battle royale inspired. That have spiraled after PUBG. Once that started the whole battle royale thing. Which has been around before then, but it's more in the public eye now, especially now that it's on Xbox. More console players are seeing it, more people are seeing it, so it's out there. But I feel like it's a shame because PUBG I felt like was so big and it had so much potential. Considering what I think it sold 11 million copies just, what was it, the first week or the first month? I think it was the first month. And Fortnite's a free game, and I'm not trying to complain or be like, oh, okay, like I said, I'm not a fanboy of either or, so I'm not trying to say, okay, one is better than the other. Oh, it sucks. This one came first, so it should be the best one. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I guess it's more of just expectations, especially as a PC gamer. It's kind of one of the downfalls with being a PC gamer. Having early access to games. I've always kind of felt a little bit, not resentment, I've always felt a little bit against early access games as opposed to playing console games. As a console gamer, you play the games when they come out on a release. With being a PC gamer, you have so much access to early access titles, betas, alphas, whatnot, and so you get to experience the game. But I feel like the problem with the games, and this might be, maybe this is just kind of part of PUBG, not just PUBG, but any other early access game that comes out. But I've noticed a trend with a lot of, not necessarily, I guess, a trend as if they're purposely doing this, but I've noticed somewhat, I'll say, a trend with early access titles not fulfilling a gamer's expectations, or which, again, yes, I get that it's early access. Of course, there's going to be bugs and there's going to be issues, but I feel like there's been a huge issue with early access titles not fulfilling a gamer's expectations of not even completing the game. We've seen so many games that have done that. I would say Rust. I mean, maybe there's a huge community for it. I don't know, but I feel like Rust is kind of dead. It's completely changed from when it first came out. It was more kind of like H1Z1 actually. It had zombies. It was open world survival PvP, base building with zombies, but then they completely trashed that and made it just a PvP base building, base raiding game, which I always thought was kind of weird. I mean, I guess that's what the game is now, so maybe that appeals to more people. But the trend that I've noticed is with all these early access titles, they either don't, like I said, fulfill players' expectations, or they just die off really early. And I don't want to see that with PUBG. I feel like the direction where PUBG is going, maybe PUBG is not necessarily dying, but I know it's definitely not growing at all. And if Bluehole, Tencent, whoever is in charge of this, PlayerUnknown, whatever, whoever's in charge of it, they need to take charge of the game and actually start pushing things forward and making things happen. You see Fortnite, that's one of the biggest things I would say that appeal to players, not so much just the gameplay, or if the game's even better than PUBG. Like I said, I'm not a fanboy of either or, so maybe just different mechanics cater to certain players. People like more things about the game, Fortnite, than they do with PUBG. But like I said, the main thing I can see that appeals more to more players is the fact that they actually update their game more often. They're throwing out more content. Fortnite, they thought of the blitz mode first. They had the 4x4 kilometer map. I think they thought of that first. I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, regardless, whoever came with that idea first, PUBG or Fortnite, they actually updated their game faster. They threw out the content, they delivered when they said they were going to come out with content. PUBG is still working on they came out with the Savage map, the beta for that, which was pretty fun. But the issue is it's kind of, it's a controlled environment. There's so many players who can play it. So, their whole servers aren't overloaded with just players on that, that map. But they've promised so many things with other maps. There was a different map, I'm pretty sure it was more, I remember hearing about the tropical, but there was supposed to be another map that had like snow, all this other stuff, different terrain. Haven't seen that yet. It took them so long just to put the vaulting in. Took them so long just to, fix their game somewhat. And that's the problem. And that's where H1Z1 is a really good example. And that's where DayZ, which is another great example, fell through the floor. DayZ, Bohemia Interactive, they didn't put that much effort into their game. And so what ended up happening was they built a game that was so clunky, so terrible. The foundation of their game was so terrible, they were just building off of that, and they were just throwing in more and more content. Like, I remember getting on one day, I think it was about 2 years after development. This is when the game is dying. I remember the last time I stepped foot into DayZ standalone was they were saying, oh, you could go fishing now, you can make a campfire, you can do all this, you can do that. And I remember the game still being buggy as heck, and it was terrible. You couldn't play it, and that was the issue. Was they did not refine their base game. They did not have a core foundation. They didn't have core mechanics. If you don't have core mechanics, you can't even enjoy or play the game. The game is virtually broken. The game is just built upon a broken game, and that's where H1Z1 actually did it right. H1Z1 was the first one. Great example. They had the core mechanics down. Yeah, it felt like you were playing a single-player game. Most single-player games are more, they're more fleshed out than they are actually with multiplayer games. The core mechanics are smoothed out, everything's fine-tuned, it's virtually perfect, it's flawless. That's where H1Z1 had it right. They actually had the core mechanics down. They were then able to build upon that. Bohemia, I don't know what's up with them. I don't know what they're doing, where their mindset is at, where I just don't know. And that's the problem, is PUBG is going to die eventually. Not saying that it will in the near future, like the next month or so, but it'll eventually die out if they don't fix their game. If they don't, what they need to do, and I actually saw somebody else, I think it was a comment on this video that I was watching that I mentioned earlier about this, there's a PUBG knockoff actually, I'll get to that. Somebody commented, they were saying that what they should do is just update the game that they normally have, their build that they work on now, the PUBG version that's out right now, have a team that updates that while another team builds the game from the ground up. And I think that would be a perfect idea. I mean, because all they have to do is update the server with the new build. Game is already perfect. The game works. And I'm all for a game that works that maybe has less content. Like, Fortnite is another good example too. Fortnite still has one map, even though they have different modes. They have one map, but they used all the assets from their original game. They already had their game, it was already working. It was flawless. All the bugs taken care of that I know of. And they've been working on their game for 6-7 years. Almost 10 years, I think, for their game. So they've had a lot of experience. So I don't know where PUBG's head is at, but like I said, if they don't fix their game, if they don't fix the problem that's with it, it's never going to get off the ground, it's never going to grow. And games like Fortnite or other games are going to take the reins of the horse. They're the ones that are going to be leading all these other games and setting the example. They're going to be the top game that's going to be on Twitch, and that's where you see Fortnite. Like I said, Fortnite is doing something right, and that's the big appeal to the players, is they have a game that works. And so I guess to kind of just wrap this up, like I said, it sucks. I'm not like a huge like PUBG like fanboy or anything, but I enjoyed the game more because I like more games with more realism in them. It's probably just because I'm just terrible at the game. I'm just terrible at building. Not good at like the bunny hopping and whatnot, but also that it just doesn't appeal to me. And so I hope they fix it. It sucks, but I guess this what happens with games. As examples, new games come along, take different aspects of those games to influence their games, whatnot. But that's my rant basically. So hope you guys enjoyed. Comment below. Let me know your guys' thoughts, feelings on what's going on. Maybe if you had any suggestions of how you would fix the game if you guys were the developers, whatnot, or if you guys had any ideas you would like to see implemented in the game, whether it's Fortnite or PUBG, pretty much any battle royale. Let me know in the comments below, guys. I appreciate you guys listening to me just rant about random stuff. If I forgot to mention anything, also just hit me up in the comments below.